What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Tie Talk. It's Sunday, July 27th, and we're here to talk RIFC's penalty shootout loss to Hartford in the final group stage match of the USL Jagermeister Cup. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube, and if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and click the like button on this video. You can also find us on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. One last plug, if you're not already, go check out the RFC Club Collector app and enter the code TIETALK25, all lowercase, all one word, to get an exclusive, wow, whenever I was going there, pack added to your collection today. So cozy up, crack a beer, or a bottle of whiskey, or 6 beers, whatever you want to do. I think we're in for a long one tonight, Mr. Healy.
Yeah, I'm not excited to talk about it, but we're gonna dive into this one. We're gonna get into it.
Yeah, our friend, they call me Gator, says hot take, but I'm a little disappointed. You have 2 friends here, Gator, that'll join you in being disappointed. Not like the many RIFC trolls that are populating on Twitter that will tell you how you should feel about this club and how you should or should not support this club. Support the club how you want. That's an official Tide Talk statement. Don't tell others what to do. Stop picking fights. Just support the team. Do it how you want. It is what it is. Want to start there, Ryan? We decided to wear black yesterday. We were part of the, protesting some of the results that went on with the supporters group sanction in our own way, but still cheering on the boys.
Yep.
Still going, strong with that. We got to the lot, and there was a good amount of black there, so it was kind of cool to see. It wasn't just us, kind of being the nerds that we are. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know, who are listening, so after last match's game, so on last episode, we talked a lot about the post-match aftermath where, Siaha was making some lewd gestures. There were some things thrown, things said from the fans that was definitely very inappropriate. There was also a altercation outside of the stadium. So with all that coming down, there was some sanctions brought down on Defiance and Defiance only, unfortunately. So Defiance was unable to bring in their banners. They could not have their smokes or pyro. They could not have signs, I think it was. And then as part of that, La Banda said, you're going to take our colors from us. We are not going to play as well. So that was really where this all came from. So as part of that, we, wore the black last night to, protest that. I can say, I think but, just found it completely unacceptable that Defiance was the one to bear the brunt. Collective punishment absolutely is horseshit. Sorry, I should have said, if you're listening with kids, this is going to be an explicit episode. Yeah, I mean, it's absolute horseshit. A couple people did some really poor things that we were very clear we do not agree with on here, but to ban to punish the entire supporters section, was absolute horseshit.
So I think we'll kind of dive in on this topic before we get to the match, because I think it's worth kind of noting a little bit of the environment and then some kind of posturing by the team in different ways that we saw. So we'll start with the environment. As you mentioned, Nola Banda standing with Defiance and they took our colors, so we're not going to give you that. Absolutely love it. No march to the match. That was a Defiance decision, it seemed like it came down from. And then all that other stuff in stadium missing as well. Between the 2 derby matches, also worth noting, there was no social posts from the RIFC media team calling out Hartford pathetic, worst city, all the Hartford shame posts that they did leading up to the first match. There was a ton of, and there was nothing in between. You mentioned earlier the lack of a club statement, and I know we talked on Kevin's FQB space last night about kind of the hypocrisy of all that and letting Defiance kind of take one on the chin and really take the brunt of this, and how we both feel like that is very unacceptable. The club should come out, make a statement. There were arrests after a result of a game at your stadium. Come out and say something, anything. I think kind of my big beliefs are, anytime you're building your brand and building your image on the back of the supporter group, which the club should do, there should be more of a conversation, more of a negotiation, rather than, hey, the league told us we had to do something and this is what we're doing. Like, it doesn't work that way, because you're going to need this group to be big and loud and bright for you in all these future spots. And if you're not going to back them, there's going to be a time where things kind of change, and the ramifications of that could be felt down the road. There's also, to me, it sets a dangerous precedent of, we can just say what we're going to do to you to punish you, and that's it. And there's no recourse, repercussion. There's no conversation, negotiation to go with it and go any further. And then one of the biggest things that got me all hot and bothered last night, 2 Hartford fans, 2 rows behind me in 117, which, for those of you unfamiliar with Tidewater, 115, 16, 17 are the 3 supporters group sections. And security was alerted multiple times. They went over, had a conversation with them, did not make them leave. It wasn't just me that told them. There were other people around me. You got into a situation with penalty kicks where nothing did happen, but you're setting yourself up for quite a bit of responsibility and problems that could occur based on what happened last week. They shouldn't have been down there. So the hypocrisy of, you can't bring your flags, you can't bring your colors, your smokes, your signs, your banners, driving out La Banda, driving out all the atmosphere, and letting Hartford fans sit in the supporters section. That's just absolute Bush League from Rhode Island FC. It is total minor league marketing, going back on their word, not backing their fans, and allowing all this to transpire the way it did last night. I know there were some people early on in the chat talking about the atmosphere and it being fine. If you like the MLS, that's what it felt like last night. There was echo chambers and pockets of cheering and pockets of noises coming from the stadium, but it was not the same. There was not that focal point. There was not that tip of the spear with the Defiance in La Banda leading it loud and front and center. And for me, the casual take for casual fans, and I saw one of them earlier in the chat, and I don't want to blast whoever the person was, they wrote it super early, was all about how, it was such a good game. It was a good atmosphere. That's not what soccer in Rhode Island has been like. It wasn't a good game. We couldn't top a 10-man bottom of the table team with over 60 minutes to do so, and then absolutely went down the tubes in the penalty shootout, which is a crapshoot at all to begin with. But super Mickey Mouse, super amateur, and just overall poor from top to bottom in this Rhode Island FC organization.
Well, yeah, I think the thing that bugged me both about what you're saying about the Hartford fans being in the supporter section, as well as the what happened last week was, there was this altercation outside the stadium where someone from Rhode Island, I don't even know if it was an RFC fan, went and got into it with a Hartford fan. There were some protocols that we've seen it every match besides this one, where the away fans are held back. Anytime we've gone to a game, even in Portland, Maine, where we were playing at a high school, they still held us back from leaving with the rest of the fans. So I think that was an absolute massive fuck up by the team for not properly escorting the Hartford fans in and out, especially with the, I don't think the parking situation is as bad as some people make it, but when there are, 20-minute walks to be had for these fans in a lot of alleys, a lot of streets, a lot of darkness, a lot of bridges, these fans should be escorted out properly. And I don't think the team did a proper job, which is why I think it's extremely unfortunate that in the Defiant statement, it alluded to us being sorry about that altercation, which is true. I feel horrible that it happened. That person was not a Defiance member. That had nothing to do with Defiance. And I think it's very poor from the team that they let Defiance even lightly insinuate that it could have been one of us, which is why Defiance being the only people penalized for this match is absolutely ridiculous, when the club made some serious mistakes. And then going to this match, they then, try to put all these sanctions on the supporters group, but then they're allowing these fans to sit there, interact, intermix. I think it's absolute horseshit. That I've said horseshit 5 times already.
That might be the title of this episode. It might be in the running.
Yeah, but it's really frustrating that there's nothing said or no learnings from the mistakes the team made in the first one.
Right. Jason does say in the chat that they did have an escort back to the cars as they ran their mouths in the parking lot the whole time. And I want to go back and address let me find it here. Timmy's thing about 205 being its normal, loud, great self. In the atmosphere. But that's what I mean about echo pockets. I couldn't hear you down where I was You could hear noise coming from different directions of the stadium, but there was no unified front or unified, chanting that goes stadium wide and throughout. And that's what I mean by that. So while individual sections may have, done their bit throughout, that gets lost in the grand scheme of the stadium. And that's very much what going to Gillette to watch the Revs play is like. You hear noises from places. You see people doing stupid sha-na-na-na back and forth, but you don't know what it is. It's not uniform. It's not all together like it is when La Banda is there and Defiance is there with full chants and songs going.
Yeah, and I don't want to come across as like we hated that anyone tried last night. I think people tried. Like I literally was questionable for this podcast until like 6 hours ago because I lost my voice last night, like booing and screaming.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Everyone did their best. Again, like we wore black and protested some decisions, but we, as it said when we talked about it, like we are going out there to support this team. I also wore black. I ran a race the night before, and that I had some tough nipple stuff going on, so I might have bled through onto the white kit anyway. So it really worked out in my favor here. We're not saying that people didn't try. We're not saying that the fans weren't into it. That is not our take. That's not our message. But it definitely was different. If you've been to any other game over the past 2 years, the atmosphere that La Banda creates, and in Defiance as a whole, with the smokes, the pyros, the march, everything that goes into it.
Exactly. I think that's kind of the bigger piece of it all. Jason's behind me with the boo quote. He heard me booing for at least the whole second half nonstop at Siaha. I was in FQB space last night with no voice. It was totally gone. But I just think that the pockets of noise versus the unified front of noise and chants is not the same atmosphere. So you can call sectional atmosphere fine for this one. But it's not the same as the full experience has been at any one of these games so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, especially Derby, right? Like last week, it was electric to a fault at a point, but like it was a true Derby atmosphere. It genuinely like incredible stuff from the team, and the fact that we were robbed of that last night, I think even makes it like hurt more, especially when it went to penalties, especially with more stuff that we're going to talk about in this one. So it feels like we were very hard done by, again, by the mistakes of a few. Not all of them were even Defiance members. Like the fact that Defiance took all of the blame here is.
I hate collective punishment. I think it's not right to people. I understand that you want to come across as a group, as a family, but to do that, sometimes people have to fall on the sword for the greater good. And I think when it's this many people involved, it's the same type of situation for me at least. But you can't wonder but think, up 2-1 in the 82nd minute, if the band is going loud and still going, does Hartford find that equalizer, and do we even get to that point? So, we'll start with the match though. We'll get in there. We'll dive into that. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you to everyone who took the black yesterday. I'm in the middle of a Game of Thrones rewatch, so that's super significant now for me. Maybe that's where the idea came from. Who knows? But we'll take a look starting 11. We'll dive into the game. So, Jojea, if you're listening, you can fast forward to this point. We'll get going from there. But it was a pretty interesting lineup. I'd say it was more of a 3-5-2. Noah was kind of in like a nomad role, kind of floating between the midfield and the front line. Jackson Leonette, Quazera, Mabika, Yao, Nodarse, Holstad, Emil Shapiro-Thompson, Hugo Baccarat getting the start, Mark Ibarra, Noah Fuson, and JJ Williams. What did you make of the starting 11 when you saw it, Ryan?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think in the parking lot, we had the same considerations we had last time of like, is it Clay at right wing back again, or is he in the midfield with Hugo in the back line? Leaning towards Kano continuing to play him or the coaching staff in this one at that right wing back spot. It's an interesting lineup. It's a lot of what you'd expect at this point. I think the one person that I'm a little surprised not to see, or maybe two people, is Rio and Aldair. They've been mainstays for a lot of a season that I think we've talked a lot about how we thought they played well. I was definitely excited to see Hugo in here. His performance last game, we talked a ton about, how well he did, the ambition, the aggression, the daring that he showed on this one. And then obviously seeing JJ in the starting lineup was a huge boost to this team. So I think my only concern, when you see a midfield three of Amos, Hugo, and Mark Ibarra, like it seems a little defensive.
Very conservative. Seems very Arteta.
Okay. Very conservative. I'm not going to respond to that second half. But it's a team that looked like they could have been had last week, and especially a game where we heard from the team they were all really fired up. They did not take what happened in the last game well, and they were all really wanted to prove a point. And in the show, this lineup on the pitch, I don't know if that's the prove the point team that I would have picked.
I'm with you, and I'm with Timmy in the chat. Immediately did not care for this lineup. Wildly conservative midfield, and Clay out wide again. Sitting down in my seats and seeing Clay out there, I was like, oh my God, Clay at right wing back. There we go.
It just sucks because it almost seemed like we learned the lesson this year. Like there's been games where we thought Clay might have been the person to move to one of these, either back in the center back when we were in the center back crisis earlier in the year, or at wing back. But Kano kept sticking with them in the midfield, and we were seeing some great performances. You'd have to say for this season so far, Clay has been one of the top players, and it's been a season that hasn't seen a lot of highs, but Clay's definitely been one of them. But the fact that he's been sucked back out on the wing back and for 2 games in a row now, I don't know what they saw in the scouting report that made them feel good about the first time and then to double down on it the second time. There had to be something there, but as you can see from Clay's rating and then the left center backs rating did not work out in our favor again in this one.
For sure. Our guy RG at Dribble Trip says, still want to see Holstad play central attacking mid, the most misused player we have. And I think it's just due to, we've talked about this before, just due to his versatility. Mm-hmm. He is that, utility player that can play anywhere. He's the, Swiss Army knife that you can kind of plug in where you have holes. And obviously we have a couple holes on this team right now. I don't know if right wing back is it. I still like Alder Sanchez getting out there. And I would have think, in a match like this where you want to go forward and get some goals, I would have liked seeing Sanchez out in the right and Clay in the middle, kind of mucking it up and going forward from there. But as we do,
I would say my other big omission, which Matt Hans called out, and I'm going to probably talk about 800 times in this podcast. I don't know how Maxi Rodriguez is not starting in this one. We all know how I feel about Maxi, but again, in this lineup, it just needed that one extra piece of offensive boost oomph out there. And he was the clear glaring kind of hole in this for me. It was just like we needed one of those 3 midfielders to be slightly more on the attacking side of things, especially with someone like a Hugo, or Ibarra. Like they're much more defensive minded. And if our goal was to just park the bus, I don't know, but it's just, again, kind of strange for everything that we heard and saw coming out of last week.
I just look at this lineup and think there's no real ball carrying midfielder in there, and there's no real progressive passer to get the ball to JJ and link the attack at any way, shape, or form. That player is playing right wing back, and it just, I think, kind of handcuffs him as far as what he can do.
Yeah, also, it kind of put the onus on Hugo to do that in a way, because we've seen glimpses of that. But again, his first start of the season, he's barely played over the past 8 months or so. So to all of a sudden put all of the ball progression and all of the kind of boost to to bring the ball forward, it just seemed like a lot to ask of someone that's going to play their first 60 or so minutes of the season in a stretch.
Right. I think one point I do want to bring up, did love seeing the way we came out and attacking and having Jackson in front of the fans for the first half and attacking the Defiance section in the second half, especially getting into that, penalty shootout. Not sure why we don't see that more often. It seems like we always kind of engineer it for it to be the other way around.
Listen, I think it was last episode or the one before, that was like one of my, maybe this is the way to fix the season, is to actually swap that. Again, there is a coin flip. It isn't automatically you get to pick, right. But the fact you can't think we're losing everyone and it showing up that way, right? Well, the weirder thing was, because last time we were talking to people about this, because I was excited that happened, and I was also unbelievably disappointed that all of this didn't transpire with La Banda there, because I thought that would have absolutely changed everything. Sure. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is when you do the coin flip, you have the choice to either choose which half or to get the ball first. And I assume that if we win, we keep saying we want the ball, which is hard because then we
kick it out of bounds.
Which again, I like the idea, but it's just funny that we're we really need to do this kick out of bounds thing more than making sure the atmosphere is tilted in our behavior. I always bring it up, that's Liverpool's entire shtick, is that you attack the Klopp end in the second half and they absolutely crush you in Anfield. And the fact that we don't take advantage of the best support in the league doesn't make any sense to me.
The math ain't mathing on that one for me. What do you think happens first this season? We kick a ball straight out of bounds off a kickoff and it leads to something good, or a Chick-fil-A corner kick goal?
So I've been thinking a lot about the Chick-fil-A corner kick today. Trying to think about, well, not good things, but potentially good things. Do you think there's a little palm greasing going on? Chick-fil-A was like, we got a little over our head with this promotion. We cannot afford all these chicken sandwiches. We need you guys to, like, settle down on the corner kicks.
Well, we had that a few episodes ago. We had
I'm just saying, I'm thinking about it more. It'd be very Rhode Island if there's a little palm greasing, a little, backroom financial shenanigans happening.
It could be, and like maybe Kano gets a couple free chicken sandwiches out of it here and there.
You could tell me if you were like Kano doesn't eat any fast food, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. But if he is,
players were deathly afraid to be caught eating a pretzel at the kit reveal. Definitely,
which is fucked up because that pretzel's incredible and it's carbo loading. I mean, it's two birds, one stone there.
That's it. First half got off, and I think we saw one of the more incompetent officials that we've seen throughout USL Championship action in this one. We do want chicken. I think the biggest chicken was in the middle of the field, and I did say so politically correct. I didn't call him a fucking asshole or anything. I just booed him, and we had the blind, I'm deaf, I want to be a ref chant going. But this guy lost the plot very early, seemed to kind of remedy it, giving out that red card in the 29th minute. But the midfield was a fisticuff fighting ground throughout this one. And the game just had absolutely no flow. And I think that this official was absolutely the root cause of this game having zero to no flow at all, at least in the early stages of this one.
Yeah, so I thinking about this podcast today, I was like thinking obviously about the ref, and I knew it would come up, and
you knew I'd bring it up.
Yeah, and which is
Brandon Stevis is his name. Brandon Stevis. Brandon, you suck.
I'm just like struggling because
that's what it was. I told him he sucks, but I didn't tell him he fucking sucks. So
no, that's good. Way to hold back. Way to tame.
I didn't want to violate the code of conduct.
Fair. Yeah, I'm just struggling with him because I almost like don't even want to talk about the ref tonight because it's like, sure, that was an issue, but like it can't be the ref every week. Like it can't. Like to be clear, they're all bad, which is another problem. But
fair.
You almost have to go into these games.
Maybe they're getting the Chick-fil-A for being bad. Like Chick-fil-A is hooking them up. I don't know.
Well, again, we're gonna get Matt Hands on the case. He's gonna go way too deep into this. But yeah, I almost like don't even want to talk about him anymore because like they're bad every week. That's like actually a consistent part of this season so far. But we need to just be better than the ref here. Like we can't let that dictate all of this anymore. We have the talent and we have the midfield being a fisticuffs fighting ground. Like we have the talent in this team to make that not be a problem. Like
should be an advantage.
Should be an advantage, and also it should be like we should be able to progress the ball. We don't have to always go through the midfield. We can go to the wings. We can go up and over. Like we need to. I think it's actually a good reason to vary what we're doing out there. But yeah, I mean he was bad. They're all bad. It's just not even like a talking point anymore because the league clearly isn't going to do anything about it. It almost was like Hartford was trying to rerun their strategy from last week of like making the game an absolute mess, trying to hold on and get the draw that they needed to get through, even though they still could have not gone through. It was I don't know, kind of odd decision on their part.
Weird tournament setup.
Yeah,
I will say, and this will be my last piece on the ref, but I'm sure it'll come up as we talk about the second half. His incompetence in the midfield in the first half was overshadowed by his incompetence of getting players off the pitch and adding stoppage time at the end. There's no way. What was it? 4 or 5 minutes in the second half?
Yeah,
there was at least 12. There was at least 12 minutes of stopped play like that. Get a stopwatch, buddy. I don't know. The USL Championship, not hand them out. Like, what is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we'll get to the second half because there's the one specific play we're going to talk about, which I thought was the most outrageous act of refereeing I've seen in a long time.
That's it. But as we talked, biggest moment in the first half was that red card until the stoppage time where we saw this from Hartford.
Left in the half. 10 men of Hartford on the front foot. It's going to be flicked on by Farrell, and the overhead kick is in! TJ Prentice silences Pawtucket with an extraordinary finish. And the 10 men of Hartford have the lead in the derby. How about that? It's an El Clamico cracker. What a finish.
sHartford wasted no time to run down the field and celebrate with his teammates, but we spoke about Hartford's ability to create goal-scoring opportunities, and what a finish from Precious here. Ball slightly behind him, adjusts his feet, finds a way to guide it on target, and it's in the back of the net.
So, El Clamico cracker is one of the stupidest lines I've ever heard. That should be a violation of the code of conduct for broadcasters. That's absolutely terrible. I feel offended by it for anyone from the region. A lot of mismarking on this one, which should not have been that hard, as Hartford was in there just about 20th minute, 18th minute of being a man down, and we still let people get free on corner kicks, Ryan.
Can you believe what happens when you actually do like a play in the box and like people can get free? Kind of looked like a nice little basketball play there. A couple of picks set, the guy gets free. Yeah, I mean, quite call me inspired. I would love to see a little more of that going on in the RIFC corner kick side of things. But yeah, I mean, just bad marking. The guy kind of sets a pick. Clay kind of peels off, takes the other guy, doesn't communicate well to Rio to pick up the guy who ends up scoring the goal. So I think it was just, a well-designed set piece for them. They went near a post to get that flick on, which is like a solid tactic. We have tried it in the past to no avail. But yeah, and then I think there's a miscommunication on our end, which lets him get free. Decent finish from him. Obviously, sHartford takes every second of that, milks the shit out of it to try to, big up everything. So,
like, I think it was there was just so many tweets. Like, the whole timeline was filled with him and his stupid reactions. Just hate that dude. Absolutely hate him.
Yeah, I mean, but at this point, it's like, yeah, well, we didn't do anything to stop him from having his Super Bowl. So, like, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, I can't stand it. I can't stand him. But at the end of the day, like, we didn't do our job on the pitch, so he gets to celebrate, right? Like, that's the whole thing. I did want to call out one other big moment from the half that was kind of funny, was the whole water bottle fiasco. That was where I'm like, okay, the dark arts are up. Like, we're up for this game. This is funny. There's a man down, and allegedly, I'm not going to say it, but allegedly JJ Williams dumped out sHartford's water bottle, which I thought was extremely funny.
I think that's, part of what we've missed with having him in the lineup. I think that we've all talked about, how much we need him back, but we've also caveated that with, we know he won't come in and immediately fix things as one player. This team is just too broken right now, in too many places for one player to do that. But the dark arts by JJ there were absolutely insane, as far as what we assume happened or presume happened.
Yeah, the funniest part was, I think Matt Hans just called it out. Farrell bringing the water bottle over to the ref, being like, hey. Yeah. Good stuff. Probably maybe the highlight of the game. I don't know.
Maybe. First half stats for this one included a 50-50 possession split. We outshot Hartford 5-3. Only one shot on target for RIFC, 2 for Hartford, 1 big chance for Hartford, 0 for RIFC. RIFC completed 113 passes at 76%. Hartford 109 at 72. So a pretty sloppy game in the midfield. Nothing really got linked up for either team. RIFC committed 10 fouls, Hartford 9. Each team had 1 quarter to their name, and Hartford was able to obviously make the most of that. But we hop into the second half of action.
Yeah, actually, Matt, before we jump there, I think the one thing that kind of jumps out at me, those stats, is that it was 50-50. It wasn't some dominant performance. And RFC had the majority of the half a man up. Not majority, almost half of a half a man up. And they did not tilt.
It was about 20 minutes.
Yeah, did not tilt the game in their favor. I don't mean field tilt. I mean just general, it didn't look like they were playing a man up the entire half. So I think that was where I was starting to get nervous because and then obviously Hartford scores, which makes it worse. But it didn't seem like we had a good plan to take advantage of this extra man.
Right. Well said. Luckily, 4 minutes after the half, we came out firing and looked like a pretty good, attacking push and possession. And this goal from Amos Shapiro-Thompson.
Olstead. Fuson. Little dink over the top. Ibarra was harried ever so slightly and does keep the ball in for Rhode Island. Shapiro-Thompson is on the edge of the area and he scores! A wonderful goal! That's a fabulous equalizer from Amos Shapiro-Thompson. Rhode Island are back on level terms, and they're back on top of the group.
Fantastic start to the second half here from Rhode Island. Getting themselves on the score sheet in the first 5 minutes. A fantastic worked goal. It's Ibarra who kicks this ball in play when it looks like it was going out. A little flick to Thompson, and he does all the magic here. His left foot bends it into the side netting. sHartford is silenced on this occasion. He doesn't even dive. He's not getting close to that one. And Rhode Island have got themselves back into the driver's seat. Level pegged in the first 5 minutes.
Super happy for Amos there. Like Jason says, love seeing his reaction to it. You know, I tweeted out at halftime, I thought Maxey should have come on for Amos, so it made me look stupid. I deleted it. I admitted I was wrong. But Evan's in love with my Twitter account and screenshotted it and makes this whole thing about it. So, you know, unlike him, I can admit I'm wrong in my takes and, you know, back it up here on air. But super happy for him. It was a nice, you know, ball in. Ibarra does a lot to keep it in play, picks out Amos, and, you know, he's able to find the back of the net with a great finish. sHartford would not even turn around after that. That was pretty epic, you know, in that. But love seeing Amos's celebration, you know, and all he kind of brought with that.
Yeah, it was a great goal. You'll be shocked to hear that I was in the line for a beer when that goal went in. So you're welcome, everybody, as is tradition. But no, it was a great goal. I mean, as people are calling out, Ibarra's a real hero of that one, keeping the ball in play, never giving up on the hustle. And then, you know, I thought it was a great kind of curling finish from Amos. I don't think we've seen a lot of that from him this season in terms of kind of that offensive output that we thought might have kind of been in him. So love seeing that. Hopefully it keeps building his confidence, take more shots. He clearly has a great strike on him. So, you know, hope long may that continue, because getting another player in the mix on scoring goals is this very needed for this team at this point.
Right. Definitely need more goal scorers, you know, and the creation to help JJ get into it. It will be another big piece as well. 30 minutes go by until the next big moment of this, when RIFC was able to take the lead, albeit briefly, 2-1 with this lovely goal from the spot by Maxey.
If he scores, Hartford have to...
Sorry, that was the wrong clip. That was the tease in there for later.
His first ever win here at Centerville Bank Stadium in stoppage time against North Carolina earlier this season. He goes head-to-head with Siaha and scores past Siaha. Maxey Rodriguez is the man for the big moment again. Rhode Island had turned it around in the derby. They lead by 2-1.
So we'll get a look here. It's a great ball in behind, a good run from Dikwa. There's not really any need to lunge in that situation. Dikwa's already going away from goal. You already had the advantage. He's not going to cross the ball, just patient defending, and it's a great finish from Rodriguez. Sends sHartford the wrong way. We're opened up for a very, very intriguing final 15 minutes of this game. But
so the best part, I think, is sHartford going the wrong way. Absolutely awesome on that. But then him pushing Noah as Noah kind of comes in and body checks him is absolute gold. Noah played pretty fired up throughout this one. I think that his passion was fully out there. He played pretty well. But that little moment, I think, gets overlooked, and he immediately goes to the side judge, and the side judge is like, "Dude, you ran into him. Like, we get it." But I do love that bit of dark hearts or shithousery there, and just a great penalty from Maxey.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Noah just like smiling ear to ear, like bundles off with the guy. Yeah, I think one of the things that we talked about last year a lot was like he didn't really have great penalties, like a good penalty record, and it was a lot of like who's going to take them. One of the things when we signed Maxey that was pretty crystal clear was he had a great penalty record, especially last year with Detroit. So that was definitely an additional kind of cherry on top of signing him. And to see him step up, you know, he had just come on 10 minutes before and step up, slot that home, super confident penalty. And yeah, he seemed to kind of be playing with a little chip on his shoulder too. Not as aimed at Siaha, but just kind of in general. You'd maybe see that with someone who probably isn't getting the minutes that he would expect to at the moment. So yeah, nice to see him come in. I thought he had a great cameo in general, and I thought that penalty was really confident, and I wouldn't be shocked if he is the number one penalty taker at this point. I'm sure JJ would fight him for that, but yeah, I think it has to be him.
Unfortunately, the happiness and celebration of that only lasted for 4 minutes as Hartford equalized on this goal in the 83rd.
So far, Rhode Island have done a decent job at ensuring that objective is accomplished and achieved.
Jang playing it across for Deespay, who scores for Hartford. What about it? Adrian Deespay has rescued Hartford Athletic here, 2-2. And just like that, Detroit could be out, and Hartford could still be very much alive. An incredible response from the 10 men from Connecticut, 2 each.
And now the spanner thrown into the works, and it's Deespay way up the field here. He was actually the player who gave away the penalty kick, but credit to him for finding himself in probably territory that he's not in too often, to be the one to finish play here. And it's a striker's finish. He's not just smashed it or thrashed it. He's actually opened up his hips calmly and placed this past Lee in goal to get his team back on level.
So you hear a lot of code of conduct violations in the background audio of that one. But normally solid Rio kind of gets his pants pulled down on that one. Yao kind of gets caught in no man's land in between, and then there's no one tracking that last run, and just a terrible goal to concede that late in the game when you can grab all 3 points and not even have to worry about going to penalty kicks on this one.
Yeah, I mean, especially against 10 men. I mean, it's just unforgivable to give that up, especially to a center back at that point. But yeah, I think you nailed it. Like Rio, again, we've talked about him basically shutting down his side of the pitch, and we never have to worry about it. I think he just gets caught. Slightly weird bouncing the ball. He gets caught a step behind and never can catch up. All 3 midfielders, none of them are really tracking Deespay's run. And then, Yao and Mabika just never adjust properly to the situation. I also think Jackson might have been able to do a little better on that one on second look there. I mean,
I don't know. I've seen that on the last 2 about people going at Lee, but I think there's colossal defending mistakes that
we're on ranking of who he's dead last. Dead last.
Like,
it's just one of those ones I think he might want back. Like,
sure, but if you're placing him at the top of your blame on this, I think you got to check your ball knower's knowledge.
Yeah. He's dead last in my potential people there, but yeah, it's a tough one. The other side of it too is like, how does Deespay not get a yellow for that, for going and blatantly taunting the bench there? It's absolutely, again, it just shows the inconsistency of the refereeing and how he absolutely had no control over this game.
Right, there was a couple shoves, like just nothing, but I think Tyler kind of sums it up perfectly. That was our season absolutely encapsulated in that one. And, final time 2-2. We head to penalty kicks on this one. And I think kind of the summation of it was the final one here. And you can watch this as Aldair needs to score to keep this one going.
If he scores, Hartford have to take another penalty. Sanchez against Siaha to keep the shootout alive. Oh, he misses it wide!
So, ends like that. Siaha does his laps around the stadium being an absolute asshole. Zach called him like the rudest man ever or something like that. It was pretty awesome. But worth noting also in the second half on this one, we lost Frank due to a hamstring injury. Talked with him after the match. He said he was hurting, but it was the hammy, so we'll see what's going on with that. But just a very much the capitulation of our season and what everything's going on for. When things go good, they immediately shift back to bad, and we can't get out of our own way in certain areas, and it's the same repeated mistakes over and over again. And Sarah did say, you showed that clip of the Hartford goal. She loved Jorgea's passion, getting off the bench and giving it to these nuts when he was running by, hitting the badge or whatever, which is awesome. Very good to see as well. But like Jason says, all the wind has left my sails. I think vibes are down because of everything that went on with the sanctions. We will be back for Detroit at home in full force, but things need to change, and I think we're already well past the point of when they needed to start changing.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the full-time stats here, I mean, we played up and down for almost 70 minutes of this one, 70-plus minutes. We managed only 9 shots, which is only 3 more than them. We only had 1 more shot on target. We had the same amount of big chances. I mean, it just was the same thing. It's a very tepid offensive affair, and then a couple defensive mistakes, and we're back either drawing or losing this one in PKs. So, as someone said, encapsulation of the season, I think, was perfect. The thing I I guess we'll probably get to this next, but the thing I hated was like the whole like job's done, we topped the group, nothing to see here attitude afterwards. Like if you tell me that the locker room's happy right now about that result, like they did not go out there planning like we just need to draw this game. There's absolutely no way that was a game plan. And that game plan, if that was a game plan, should have been thrown out the window the minute that Hartford was down to 10 men in the 29th minute of a game. So
I think that was a very canned response from the PR team,
Sure.
just to have people have. But like you said, once that Hartford team went down to 10 men, blood was in the water. We should have circled and absolutely ate that up.
After last week, like, yeah, maybe it was the smart play to play for the draw, know that you topped the group. But if you talk any of those players, like they were not trying to just go out there and draw. They wanted to embarrass Siaha. They wanted to embarrass Hartford. They did not take any of that kindly. And to see the performance you put up, it's hard to, not to say I don't believe them, but it just did not. We didn't play with that kind of fight, that fire, that energy that you would have thought from a team who was really trying to prove a point.
I think we did in spurts, but I think
Sure.
once we went up a man, the three defensive midfielders should have been out. There should have been some kind of a change to the formation. And, Kano got in trouble when he was ejected for being on the roof, but damn well he's in that building making calls from somewhere about substitutions and all that. So whether they came from him, whether they came from McKay, there has to, like, Maxey should have been on earlier in that one.
Just to prove that, just to like double down to that, right? So if I look at, and I'm not picking on Hugo here, right? But Hugo playing midfield, his first game of the season, right? They want to get minutes to his legs, which is great. Hugo was 14 of 19 accurate passes in 61 minutes. He had one shot. He had, 3 passes into the final third, right? Maxi Rodriguez played for 29 minutes. He had a goal. He had 2 shots. He had 15 accurate passes. He had 7 passes into the final third. 3 touches in the opposition box. Like that dynamism that he showed in just that short cameo was missing the entire time he was out there. There's a point where it looked like he was kind
versus
of
10 men too.
Yeah, and it looked like he was playing by himself in the midfield for points that like second half. I don't understand how at halftime you're up a man, you don't go screw it, get Maxey on and change up the formation, because to roll out, and again, it was great. We got 2 goals in the second half, but as you said, blood was in the water. I don't think that this is the performance that this team was looking to have in this one.
Even if you don't want to get Maxey out there and you just want to tinker a little bit, like get Aldair out there quicker for one of those midfielders and get Clay in the midfield and then bring on Maxey a little later like you did. But like not changing up that midfield and getting more creativity in there, I think is almost criminal.
Yeah, I mean, especially on a night you have JJ Williams back, right? Like I don't have the number in front of me if I can pull up really fast, but crosses, where are they? Yeah, I mean, we crossed the ball in 16 times. Like we were, about 50%. And
JJ had 14 total touches because there was nobody passing the fucking ball because of that midfield construction.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think probably Noah's in a similar boat. Like it's weird that the 2 of them are up there. And let's see. Yeah, Noah had 28 touches in 90 minutes, right? Like he wasn't also getting the ball. Like again, we weren't able, we did fine in the defensive end moving the ball, and then it gets kind of stuck in the midfield, and then it doesn't move past there. Gonna pull a Matt Hands here. Wrote a blog about it earlier last week called Courage on the site. Check it out. But it's just been the problem all year where we just don't have a plan B for moving the ball with pitch with speed, so that we can take advantage of an unsettled defense.
Yeah, it's getting to be a very tough watch week in and week out. Like I said, I think we did see that fight in longer spurts than we've seen it. In the last few matches, it was good seeing goals. But we have to see it sustained, especially there's no excuse for not sustaining that pressure, that intensity when you're up a man for 60 plus minutes.
Yeah, and I think Quadros had a great point. This is not the first time this season that RIFC played up a man and just looked absolutely lost, like almost worse up a man than they were 11v11. So it's a weird trend, but for a team that almost just needs to see a couple balls go in the net to get 3 points on the board, you think that'd be the perfect opportunity, and I think they really squandered it last night.
Well said. I guess we'll try to put a pin in this on a positive. How'd you like the kit?
It's good. It's downstairs. I still haven't put it on yet, but it looks good in the field. I'm excited to wear mine eventually. I think someone asked, like, are you doing the black next week? Like, no, we'll have our kits back on as far as I know. Like,
yep. Our plan is to be back in full colors unless anything drastic changes in differently. And, like I said in the opening, I hope this is not a set of bad precedents in a relationship between the club and the supporters group, and making them just accept the punishment as it is, not a conversation, not a negotiation. This needs to be a two-way street of communication if you want to build your brand off the club, off the supporters club, and you want to build and fill the stands. I'm sure people were there last night who hadn't been in a while. Maybe there was their second game or so, and we're like, where the hell are the drums? Where are the smokes? Where are the banners? Where's all that?
Yeah.
And to pull it so quickly and because of a few bad eggs, just still rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real issue I have is very similar to yours. It's like there's I think every clip all week that kept popping up with like, come and see the atmosphere at Tidewater.
Matt Jean with the train horn.
Matt Jean with the train horn. You always see La Banda in every single ad. You always see the smokes. You always see all this stuff, and then it gets pulled away. There's people who probably were coming to see all that, didn't get to see it, so then you lose a chance to convert someone to maybe come see a couple more games. But also, it's a club. It's like they're more than happy to harvest all the good that comes with the supporters group. But one bad thing, and they try to rip it all away as if they weren't complicit in anything. We did notice that Chip wasn't wearing his Hartford Pathetic headband. They weren't saying Hartford Pathetic on the loudspeaker as they were when they introduced the lineups the previous one. So
they said athletic. Like it was a full 360 as far as marketing and everything going at, and I think that's the biggest level of hypocrisy that pisses me off with how everything unfolded through this one.
It's just there's a lot of people who, including us, who spend a lot of time, a lot of money like that. You talked about it the other night about how much you spent at the team store for just a kit and a scarf. It was like $150. Like again, a lot of time, a lot of money we spend on supporting this team. Traveling to the away matches last year, setting up all the logistics around traveling to those playoff games. Like this is a group that is passionate. They're the ones who, are getting you featured in these documentaries. They're the ones who are building up the culture around this team. It is not being built by the front office. It's being built by the fans who are going to be here, until this team doesn't exist anymore, or till we die. Like that's our plan as fans. So the fact that the front office has no problem harvesting the goodwill that comes with that, but then also taking away it immediately, again, due to the actions of some individuals. And again, they were individuals. I'm not even going to say they were Defiance members because they weren't all Defiance members. So, yeah, it's just very, very frustrating there.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Like I said, hopefully going forward, it's more of a two-way street rather than the message coming down from the high castle. But we'll take a look at some of your takes as we switch over to the Defiance 1636 Discord. So we've got RIFC in 3 and good, bad, and ugly mixed in. Pawtucket J's RIFC in 3 was I'm fucking disgusted. That is a violation of the code of conduct. Pawtucket J, shame on you. Andrew Hill had 2 shorthanded. Andrew Gomes had his good, Amos and Maxi getting us on the board. Bad, our history of penalty kicks and shootouts. Ugly, my hatred of Siaha growing. And RFC in 3, stop the bleeding. It needs to stop quick. Good friend of the pod and ultimate ball knower Leo O had his good Amos showing up offense. Amos offense showing up when his back isn't to goal, playing as a deeper midfielder, scores the goal and plays the pass that leads to the penalty. Bad, repeatedly playing out the back into an undermanned team's high press and repeatedly letting them get back into the game. Ugly, gifting Siaha exactly what he needed to shush the fans again. And his RIFC in 3 was definition of insanity. Andrew Hill replied to that in all caps, shorthanded. We let Siaha have his moment with 10 men. Can't absolutely emphasize that any further. Tim Sheldon's RIFC in 3 was getting very discouraged. Mike M's RIFC in 3, his team is shit. His good was AST. Bad, being up a man for 60 minutes and coming away with a loss. Ugly, the players. Enough with the excuses. It's not tactics. It's not injuries. It's the players that are the problem. They have to look within themselves and ask the hard question, am I doing enough? And many of them will have to answer no. Not enough heart, not enough fight, not enough determination. This team lacks leadership. My only hope is when Koke returns, he can bring some because they're lost it right now. Lots to unpack there from Mike's team of shit. Very good RFC in 3, but about the lack of leadership and fight. You agree with a lot of Mike's takes there?
Yeah, so I guess a little nugget after the match, after the paddle was given out, everyone went down to Autograph Alley. The players actually went in back to the locker room first to have a team talk. Koke brought them all in. They then came back out, did their autograph thing. We quickly talked to Koke. He was saying, it was a real, mano a mano, we need to all look each other in the eye type of conversation. So
he was very Kelly, my wife asked, he was very animated talking to you too. How'd that go? And you can go ahead and kind of give the cliff notes of it, but he was very animated talking to us about that conversation.
We had a lot of very funny animated conversations last night. Shout out to JJ Quizera.
Our guy.
Our guy, yeah, he does not think it's our guy, but
he hates Ryan for what it's worth.
Fuck. But yeah, I don't know that I don't know that I agree that it's not tactics, it's not strategy. I think we're playing a very flawed style of play, but I think Kano said it, and I think the players would agree. Like, they're not playing to their potential. Our difference makers aren't making differences. And
what a company, man.
Yeah, but seriously, like I don't know how to say it even differently. It's just like, yeah, I think he's right that what we're seeing and what we're seeing from the players is not. None of them would say that, and it needs to be better. Like that's like people earlier were saying you guys are just gonna be negative about this one, blah 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 blah. But yes, I am being negative because this is a team that we've only seen win twice at home so far this season. Once was, again, a rotated League One side, and then once was a last-minute winner against North Carolina. But other than that, we have not seen any even good performance, really, at home besides the Portland one. And it's not like on the road it's going much better for us. Like, this is just a team that is not playing anywhere near their potential. They had aspirations of being, not just, winning everything, but being the Players' Shield winners this year. Like, we thought we were in the pantheon with Louisville and with Charleston, and that's where we belonged, right? Because of that playoff run. And now we are probably I even looked at the table. It's probably 28 points plus at this point behind both those clubs who are both absolutely flying. So, I would like to say it's a wake-up call at this point. The wake-up call, as you said, should have happened months ago. But something needs to change. Something absolutely needs to change.
For sure. I'm going to hit back to the socials, and we got our guy Natesky. His good was the tie. His bad was the defense, and his ugly the penalties. More spine passing than wing passing. It's true. You never see this team switch the pitch. It's always very much concentrated down one side, one flank, till you either get a shot or lose it. There's
Which is
so
kind of
much
crazy in a game that you're up, man. Like, the switch should be on
right.
100 times more, and it just nothing. Good call, Natesky.
Taras had RIFC in 3. Storm is brewing. I think the storm is already here, my friend. His good was we scored goals. His bad was we allowed goals. And his ugly, we couldn't hold the lead against a short-handed team. Mike Howard said, I really don't envy you guys having to talk to the game. I'll be there for moral support. So hi, Mike, if you are in the chat.
Shout out to Mike.
One of the better comments that we read throughout this one. On our Instagram, their name is Max F, had RIFC in 3. Points are points. Good, scoring and advancing. Bad, losing. Ugly, don't prove the skeptics wrong. Didn't prove the skeptics wrong. Proof Hill Brewing's RIFC in 3 was what was that in all caps. Good, I took the weekend off from traveling to the game and watched at home. Bad, the team is not even average anymore. You can't beat 10. Ugly, all of it. Advancing in this cup tournament this way was literally ugly. Yes, Booth Hill Brewing.
Wait,
yes.
Is Booth Hill Brewing Kevin? The day off from going to the game?
Maybe they were on Kevin's couch with them. I don't know.
But, I heard there was anchovy pizza, so.
I'm going to pull this up from the chat before I switch over. Ryan says, only way to save the season is to win the cup. When do we go Tottenham here, Ryan? When do we prioritize the Jagermeister Cup? Are we at that point yet? Or are we going to let a few more games slide by in the league and drop more points further down and get ourselves out of playoff contention before we want to talk that?
I don't like the framing of this question. I'll start there. But it's an interesting question, though. Looking at the field that got into the next round, a couple of those teams I just mentioned of being 20 plus points ahead of us in the league, they did not advance into the next round. So I don't know if we go full Tottenham here, but I do think that especially the Birmingham game next, I think is a really big piece. It is at home, and I think we have to win that one. I think at this point it is the more likely scenario of us winning anything this season. However, we are 1 point out of the playoff picture in the league, and just a couple points off of 5th place. So I'm not saying we weren't Tottenham. We weren't in 17th place all year. So we can
We're
still
almost
do
at the
both.
equivalent of that in our conference, though.
The thing is, we get the thing
let's
that's
be
different
real.
about American sports is we get playoffs, which is a very different
It
concept. Where
Put some
I think
respect on the champions of Europe. All right, come on.
JV champions of Europe. You can make a run where last year we were the 5th seed and we made it all the way to the finals. Like you can get hot at the right time in these things. So I'm not team go all in one place, but yes, right now it is looking like the Jagermeister Cup is the more likely route to silverware.
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting, and we did see Dwayne, although other news outlets are announcing it's already been done and there are videos out breaking down. He's still not out there. He's also shorter than Kevin. He's a little fella. He's very
the
tiny.
whole time in the line, you just kept turning to me, going, "He's shorter than you."
He also told people that like he's probably about a month away. So everyone going out, and I was the one that's saying, "What is this amateur hour over here?" It's not true till you see him holding the kit. But
there were
everyone
people in
wanted to
Jamaica
jump the
kits
gun.
at the
the kit
reveal, hoping that they were going to announce him, which I get, but yeah, tough scene.
So he told people last night he's about a month away from like all the paperwork being cleared. So I'll never believe anything as far as transfer rumors until you see them holding the shirt. The old school way of it. FQB on Twitter, as good was Amos, his bad was Hartford supporters allowed in our sections. I'm still so pissed about that. I told them to sit the fuck down. I violated the code of conduct at one point. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't tell on yourself.
Front office decision-making skills were his ugly, and his RIFC in 3 is time is running out. On Facebook, Jeff Teixeira had good winning the group. Ibarra hustle setting up the first goal. Bad back four looked very disorganized. Ugly chippy game and not leaving with 3 points with a man advantage most of the game. Santiago Restrepo, who we got to meet last night at Autograph Alley. That was pretty cool. And I saw him in the chat. So good meeting you, Santiago. We scored 2 goals. Bad, we couldn't defend the lead. Ugly playing with an extra player most of the game, but didn't look like we had an advantage. Don Lindbergh, good group winners. Bad defense once again let us down. Ugly, no offensive strategy, short congested passes, and no fluidity. So thank you again to everyone who wrote in. If you're not already,
can we go to Santiago's question in the chat? Actually,
oh yes,
it's like 9:22. So while Matt's pulling that up, I can read it here. So Santiago on Facebook, and yeah, shout out to Santiago for coming and saying hi last night. How about the players are not responding to the coach, plus no consistency with all of the change of formations and questionable subs? What's your take?
There's some kind of breakdown. I think the biggest sign of some kind of breakdown was Maxi getting the hook so early last week and not starting this week. I think there's something going on there. I don't know if it's an internal rift. He doesn't look happy playing here. It reminds me a lot of how Juan Soto kind of started the season with the Mets. You could tell there was, some kind of a thing going on there until he started performing a little bit better. But the vibe I get is I don't see him as being happy here, but I love watching him play. He plays so hard. He plays so aggressive. That slide tackle he had going in there was awesome. He's the type of guy you need, I think, because we have so much other shit going on with this formation and our lineups that he's not been able to kind of settle into a true role. He's kind of, floating around. He's playing some different spots, but I think he's an unbelievable player. I think he's a very hard worker. He brings a different edge and grit to this team, especially with Clay at wingback. He's the type of player you need in the middle of the field to be able to break some lines and pick some locks. But I think that is a big piece of the chemistry issue right now is what's going on with Maxi Rodriguez.
And I think, like I said, I think everyone's heard me talk about Maxi a lot, but I think he's one of the first names on the team sheet for me, and I don't understand what's going on there. Again, I don't think he looks happy. Hoping we can get him hooked on clam cakes or something, so he is excited to be in Rhode Island. But other than that, so there needs to be a shift there. Again,
he did look happy in the kit release video stuff. I guess that, but like in person, and
that's a good five-a-guy pairing of hanging out. So Clay, Isaac, Noah, Maxi. Who's the fifth? Maxi, Noah, Isaac. Zach Haraval. Seems like a fun group to hang out with, and they're just having fun, kicking around the beach. There's probably people there. I mean, it looked like there was actually a lot of people in the background who were just like going to the beach that day and seeing it. So Yeah, again, sounds like a really fun time, but yeah, I think it's one of those things like Maxi's someone who wants to win. I mean, when he came here, he said it was about winning. It was about, kind of advancing his career in that way. And we're not doing any of that right now. So I would be pissed if I was him. He's not getting the minutes. He probably assumes he deserves a big word, but like that he probably should be getting, especially when you see the midfield performance last night. And then on top of that, we're just not winning games and we're not performing well. So any player who looks over the moon happy right now, I would almost question, because I'm not someone who needs every player to look miserable when we lose and all that stuff. People process these things differently. This is their job. Like, it is different that way. But at the same time, he's not one of those people who seems like it's, he's happy that we're with what's going on. So I'd rather that than him be like super happy about it. So in terms of the kind of other parts of the question, yeah, I think the instability of the formations, I think the subs have been strange. I think the tactics have been off. I don't know that they're tuning Kano out at this point. I'm not there on that one, but I don't think the way that things are being implemented and the coaching behind what's going on, it's not working and it needs to change. Especially, I think an easy example of that is corners and set pieces. Like we're bad on both ends, and that's like a super coachable, super like tactical like place of the air, like the pitch, and it just doesn't seem like we're.
And it's been consistent. There. It's been the same, concerns in those areas all season long so far. There's been no improvement to it. Mm-hmm. So thank you to everyone who wrote in on our socials. If you're not already, you can follow us at Tide Talk RI on all of our socials. And look for those post-match posts to share your takes, and we'll read them here on the air. But we were able to advance and win the group. We got Birmingham coming up in the USL Jagermeister Cup quarterfinals. But our next match is that August 6th versus Detroit City. How you feeling about that one, Ryan?
Wait, so I don't think that's true. I think
it's Pittsburgh. I'm sorry.
Yes.
FOTMOB doesn't have it in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll go to Detroit after that. I feel terrible about Pittsburgh. What a awful next game to have coming up. Not that I think Pittsburgh's like great. Bob Lilly ball fucking sucks to watch. Number one.
Yeah. So does RIFC ball.
Horrible to watch right now. I just think that could be one of the more unwatchable games of the season. I hope the team proves us wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like Bob Lilly, unfortunately, has, as we have seen, like we've had Birmingham's number, it seemed so far with Kano, except for last match, obviously. But it seems like Bob Lilly has kind of had our number. Obviously, we did get that 1-0 win in the cup match earlier this year in Pittsburgh. But yeah, definitely not one of the ones on the calendar you're ever looking forward to. And with the way things are going right now, I am lucky that I'm not going to be able to watch it live at this point.
All right. I definitely will also say, with the return of a little bit of normalcy at Tidewater versus Detroit for that next home game, I am worried about them and their bitchy supporters and calling some shit out that might not be true, and code of conducts being looked at and breached again, because we saw that at Bryant last year with people not knowing what they're talking about. It's their supporters group who sucks. They don't really they march to their own drum, if you will. I know they're Kevin's favorite people, but they are quick to call others out and then do whatever the fuck they want. So, I do worry about some of their traveling fans and, kind of their reaction to what's been going on over here. And I'm sure it's made the rounds that Defiance was sanctioned and all that. So I just worry about their fans and, them kind of bringing up issues that are not fully true or not, in existence at all.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully,
Timmy said that there's no shot there's more than 5, but I think the new stadium has increased, traveling fans, and I think we've seen some good amount from a lot of the closer teams, at least geographically, and I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit brought a couple, at least to, be assholes and make a little bit of a ruckus.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy flight from Detroit. It's lovely, but the one thing I think would be awesome for the team, if someone from the team is listening and you did not turn this off, please get links out for the opposing team. We have people reaching out to us of like, can we get a link for our fans to all sit together in a section? So I think because last year, one of the issues with the kind of misconception of chance that Detroit City, talked to the front office and the league about was that they were sitting like in the supporter section, basically. And the fact that like these traveling fans don't know where to buy tickets or don't know anything, where we could do a very good job making that especially with, like you said, our stadium is an attraction that people are coming for. Like, make it easy for people. Have an opposing fans link that they can just buy from, that they can all sit with each other. Just make this easier on yourselves and on and for them at this point, because there's no. What really could become a poor thing is if they are Detroit City fans sitting directly next to the supporter section.
Right. And if people are in your supporter section, get them the fuck out. Get them out. Move them. Find them somewhere to go.
To be clear, we're not telling the fans to do that. Tell security to do that. That is
security,
not
team employees. Yeah, yes, fans don't do it. Find a security guard. Hopefully they'll do it. We tried that last night to no avail. But the team needs to get them out. It's a safety thing. It is what it is. But
yeah, I guess, and be clear, we're not saying like the supporter section, some hostile, horrible environment. It's just a very stupid
recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's just a very dumb way to like to add even a like smaller percentage of possibility of these things happening.
For sure. But any final thoughts you want to share, Ryan?
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's clear. Like we're very disappointed in the team and in the pitch and the front office. Like, there's a lot of things that we're very disappointed about. We had our little silent protest, but this podcast, like and everything Tide Talk, is by the fans for the fans, and we are fans of this team. We are not going to sit here and tell anyone how to feel about what they're feeling. If you were happy as hell about last night and top in the group, like, hell yeah, more power to you. I am very down on what's happening. I am struggling with this team at this point, where like all the problems just keep happening and keep happening and keep happening. And we're just not looking like a team that's going to make any kind of run or live up to the expectation that we had and they also had for themselves. So, this is an opinion-based program by some people, and it's our opinion. You're more than happy to have your own, and we're never going to sit here and tell you yours is wrong. I will potentially try to bring up some facts to, maybe nudge you the other way. But other than that, yeah, I know this episode wasn't the happy-go-lucky episode some people wanted, but it's our feelings, and it's why it's an opinion show.
I will also add to that, like we would never tell people we're black because we are. Like, we say, put it out there that we were doing it. Mm-hmm. People wanted to join along, they absolutely could.
Was a game time decision. I actually brought 2 outfits.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wants to know. Yeah.
But
I also was told mine necessarily wasn't fully black. So screw you, Timmy.
It was charcoalish gray. But other people calling us childish for doing it and coming at us, fuck them and fuck their opinions, because they don't need to tell us how we can support our club. If we're mad, if we're upset, we can do it in whatever way we want. And that's what we do. And, sports fandom is shared suffering, like that from Sean Buxton there. We love the team.
Must be a Spurs fan.
We love the team. We're just disappointed. And I think that's what it is. So for everyone who's trying to tell us that it's childish and, we can't have our opinions and do it, take a look in the mirror, because pot calling the kettle black.
Also, like, I'll be honest, there's way more childish things we could have done. I thought sure. of the scale, like, geez, like wearing a different color shirt. Like, I thought the funniest part about last night, if we want to end this on a high note, there were so many people wearing black that had absolutely no idea what was going on.
Oh,
that was so funny to me.
Yeah, if you scan the stadium, there was actually a good amount. So it made us look like we have much more reach than we actually do. But again, to anyone who's telling us that it's childish and because they can't have conversations about differing opinions, you are the indeed definition of childish. So.
And yes, I'm sorry for the lack of slides. It is just becoming very difficult to put on a piece of paper or a piece of pixel that this team is fucking not playing well. So we will get back to slides soon. Later.
Copy and paste the last couple rounds of slides.
I honestly thought about doing it because it's the same thing over and over. We are living in I can't think of the word, Groundhog Day right now.
Yep. But Tim McNuff says one of the youth groups there last night had black uniforms. So perfect. It's almost like we knew what we were doing a little bit. We have had a lot of people on throughout this one. So before we sign off, just wanted to say, make sure you hit that like button before we do.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to, our takes. Like Ryan said, all opinion, it's a lot of time, a lot of effort we put into this. If you have different opinions and want to do your own, go for it. We ask you, do it. More content, the better. But, just don't call people out for the way they want to, support and, voice their frustrations and still cheer for the team. So thanks again.
Lost my voice. I cheered my ass off last night.
Oh, yeah, totally. Thanks again for joining. That'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook for a daily social media account. content. We had our guy Liam on the sidelines taking pictures, so be ready for some photo content. Big shout out to our guy Liam Crowley. That'll be coming up in the next few days over our socials, so make sure you're following on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Click that link in this episode description. You can follow all the accounts from there. I've been your host, Matt, for my good friend Ryan. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the tide.
Up the tide.